Expect a summary video. We're here in East 57th in New York City, and we have a fire escape here. And this is going to be part one of the examination. And what we have here is the issue of the ladder system. And this examination, we have several codes that we must follow. The International Fire Code requires that all these fire escapes be examined now every 5 years, and a report must be submitted to the city official. The biggest issue that we're going to have with this one on this fire escape is just this examination is here for us to do and determine whether we can certify and or test this fire escape. Right now we cannot do either. The fire escape has issues with paint and has issues with the structure. So let me deal with the paint first. Older than 1978, the EPA says that there's a standard that you have in order to scrape and paint this. You must be an EPA renovator licensed firm, and because of the lead on all this fire escape, you got to basically remove all the loose scale rust and paint, collect it down below on a plastic, and then you must dispose of it accordingly. Your men have to follow EPA guidelines on how they dress, what they're wearing. This is not for lead abatement. This is not, because that will involve scaffolding, negative vacuum, sandblasting, and astronaut suits. That's not what's happening here. So it needs to be scraped and painted in order to pass the inspection and prepare for a load test or certification in lieu of a load test. Number two, let's talk about the structural. We have several structural issues. This fire escape is all original hardware. I got a lot of rivets. I estimate this fire escape to be at least 75 years old. But I have no evidence of any maintenance. I have evidence of painting and constant painting, but no evidence of maintenance. I've got issues into the building. I got cement pulling out of the building, and throughout this rear-facing fire escape, some work has been done on the ones above. But look at these. Pretty much 50 to 75% of this entire rear structure, the cement is spalling, and we need to reattach these back into the building correctly. Okay, so that's this part. I'm also going to talk about this ladder and the structure. So cement work on this fire escape, what it does is, if you see that hairline crack right there on your sills, whenever you got rust jacking or ice jacking happening below, it's going to pop all your sills on windows, because as that grows down below, it's going to pop this sill. So we got to get that under control, otherwise you have bigger issues with all your doors and window sills. Okay, so once these are all repaired and sealed and you verify them, or if they're non-verifiable, you can do an epoxy bolt. That'll eliminate the load test. Now, getting down here to the fasteners, all these fasteners, you switch out all these fasteners, there is no load test. If you leave behind any original hardware, you got to load test it. Otherwise, if you get an affidavit, which is an opinion letter on this, you will have a disclaimer on that letter that states that the liability associated with any fastener left behind will be to the owner of the building. So we will not assume any liability or responsibility for any original hardware left behind. So with that in mind, I highly recommend at this time, because these should have been swapped out in the 50th to in the 25th to 50th birthday, and it was never done. So this fire escape is due for a fire escape refurbishment. All your corners are bulging out full of rust. All your corners are bulging out full of rust. All these connectors are all popped going down. So what this is like a truss. So we have an angle, a C-channel buried into the wall, only about 8 to 12 inches deep, coming out about 4 feet. Now usually you're supposed to have a bracket underneath, or an angle bracket underneath, but what they've done is they're using this truss. This railing is acting like a truss. That flat there is acting like a truss, and it's basically joining all these together. We do have some emergencies on this fire escape up above, that some of the supports are popped on the front, so it's no longer acting. These are acting independently and on their own. They can't handle the load. There's too much load, so this has to be all one piece and has to be working properly. So that's why this doesn't have an angle brace that is typical. It's because the railing is acting like a big long truss, the railing and that flat. So that flat must be connected at all times in order for this to act in unison. Currently it's not, so that's why we have a violation here. This ladder, when you lift it, she drops and guillotines down, hits the ground. People are supposed to egress out of here and through this area. So, but again, all the original hardware is still on the ladder. Needs to be hand scraped, because as you come down and you run your hand down, you're going to cut yourself on things like this. These are like little mini razor blades. So as you go down, this will have some cuts. You got scraping and painting. You do have the base that looks like it has lead paint on it, and again, it's older than 78, so it's presumed to have lead. A lot of these connections, the bolts are, the heads of the bolts are facing up, so they're all being eaten. We got obstruction issues here going all the way there. So with that, can't have any obstructions on this fire escape. This is the rear of the building, so there's also logistics of how you're going to get a team back here, because you're sort of locked in on a lot of these rear facing. There's no alleyway, so everything's probably going to be through that. Looks like there's an access tunnel right over there that goes to the front of the building. So continuing on, we got a lot of issues with the fire escape staircase. All these treads, this is half-inch of rust. It takes 25 to 50 years of growth unchecked for it to grow that big. And so on the back side here, at least 50% of all the treads are rusted. So I'm just going to go up this staircase, and that's what's happening. You know, as it goes through, it expands through rust jacking and making all these rivets suspect. So just on this fire escape, this is almost 100% of every tread has a problem that I've gone up on this. And then we have the stringer connections at the very top. These stringer connections are rusting out, as you can see. And further up, we have one that's the bolt is actually missing. So, and then it's falling out of the building. Water gets in here, and through rust jacking and ice jacking, these things pop, and that's why you're getting water in your building. Water gets in through there. So some work has been done up above. On the one up above, you can actually see the work done, but you change all these bolts out, and there is no load test. All right, see that? All spalling. But if you go over here, you see that they've done some work here. So what they did is they replaced it. See, work done there, work done there. Okay, so this has happened before. So again, all original hardware. All this needs to be swapped out. Otherwise, after a spot repair, there is a load test coming for this entire fire escape system. Again, all the treads. This is almost 75% of all the treads have built up rust on the inside. And this is not only affecting those connections, it's affecting the outside connections. And as you go up, you can see where it failed, where it's here. So this is relying on that flat. And that flat is popped there, popped over there. And I believe it was this one down below that flat was actually no longer connected. It is this one. So let me show you this. So there is emergencies here. And as you can see, that it's no longer connected. And it's this flat. This flat relies on this flat, and she's no longer connected. But this channel buried into the wall that's not properly connected in the building anymore is carrying the whole weight of the staircase right now with nobody on it. But as it comes down, she wants to transfer the load to the grating, to the railing, to the flat, and it can't because the bolt is gone. And when you look up, you can see right through it. You can see that it's no longer connected. So an emergency on this part. Lots of heavy scraping. Again, lead-based primers. Okay. Obstructions. You got to make sure that these are on the outside. Try not to have them on the inside. Cement issues. At least 75%, 50 to 75% of the wall needs to be addressed. The same way they addressed it here, but it's not continuous all the way on the entire building, so we need to do that. And then I'll do a second phase of the inspection right now, which is really dealing with the staircases and the structure all the way up. Any questions, fire escape engineers? Inspect the summary video, part 1 of this examination on the rear fire escape. 866-649-0333. 866-649-0333. Farscape Engineers Inspector Summary Video. This is part 2, mainly dealing with the stairs and the structural. Again, we're on the back of this building in East 57th. Structural issues throughout on this fire escape. And all the treads going to have to be rebolted. Cement issues along the building that we talked about, but a lot of your connections, these should have been swapped out in the 25th to 50th birthday. Now we're in the 50 to 75 or 75 plus year. Got major rust buildup on all these stringer connections. The flats are in pretty good order, but again, a lot of cakey, scaly rust on those. We got to get those taken care of. Popped into the building. I think this is one of the side that we got the fire escape tilting away from the building, and you can see just how much. So another life safety concern on this corner. If you look, she's going down on the corner there, and she's already popped out of the building here. See? No longer connected. So there's definitely a dip going on there. All the corners are shot, all the flats. So this whole fire escape is relying on itself with that flat and the rail with acting as a truss. So we've got issues. Life safety concern in this corner. There's a door that feeds it. Bolts are missing, and a lot of bolt heads are rotted. And we're going to keep going down. 100% of 50, 75 to 100% of each staircase has problems in their treads, but on average it's 50 to 75. Again, this is the proper way to hang flowers on the outside. We got some debris. We got some. I don't know if somebody's. If we're getting water out of these ACs, but we're getting some deterioration in these areas. Up above, you're going to see. I don't know if somebody's coming out and throwing chemicals. Sometimes when they clean the house, they may throw water out here with bleach and such. That's not proper. It's eating the paint. The joints and the connections are showing rust. We got cement issues. Some work has been done in the past, but a lot of these going into the building, they got rotting C-channels into the building, or they need to be sistered to reinforce them. Stringer clips gone. So let's go up. Be careful of that corner over there. Again, rust, 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 rust. These are all connection rust. So here's a fire escape with 75% of the treads are all affected, if not 100% rust, and this stringer clip holding up the entire staircase. Now, I saw this, and again, this could be something was out here before and it was moist underneath all the time, a rag or a plastic. But this is what occurs when you let moisture sit for too long underneath something. So typical corners, all your corners are rusting out at the joint on the corners there. Up above, they start bulging out, as the photographs show. The flat going along the way. So now it's just going to start repeating itself all the way to the top. Whatever was said below is happening here. Rust on all the treads one more time. Stringer clips with rust inside. AC units in some windows, as long as they don't block access. When you have rust happening inside a C-channel, it expands and it blows your sills. Here's evidence. That's how it gets fixed. But it blows your sills this way. Rust gone in there. See? Cement, spalling. Rust and ice jacking working together. Obstruction here, possibility. A lot of times the answers for these AC units is an inside AC unit with that tube that blows the air outside. Can't block access. Cement problems. Cement in that corner. Blown out corner right there. Pretty standard. Cement in all the treads. Issues in all the treads. Cement issues back into the building. See? It's starting to rot out the steel. Cement spalling. Water gets in there. Look at this corner. Shot. Complete cut. Shot corner. Here's a typical plate. Oh yeah, this is another one with a stair from up above to the final roof. Look at this. No longer connected over here. It's blown. Here's the plate. So this is an emergency here, see? She's not even connected anymore. She's holding up the entire staircase. So too much weight. It's only buried 8 to 12 inches deep into the wall. So this is an unsupported staircase. Here's another unsupported staircase. So we have some emergency issues on this fire escape that need to be addressed, stabilize it. Then we can deal with repairs. Same thing up above. Looks like the supports into the building rotted out. They put in some through bolt angles back. Okay. Again, this is an unsupported leg of the stringer. And they go up. Again, tread problems. Treads everywhere. Supports from up above. She's coming down. She rotted into the building there. So they put these through bolts back into the parapet wall. And this is, if anybody's up here. Okay. Fire escape number 2. Fire escape engineers, inspect the summary video. 866-649-0333. Engineer oversight is going to be required for this fire escape. And permits will be determined whether or not the extent of the repair exceeds a certain level for painting, fastener changing, or repairs to the building. Any questions? 866-649-0333. This is Inspector Cisco Meneses. Thank you.